The State of the Union address featured the president's message of unity and maybe a little foreshadowing. But it was arguably the divisive moments in his address that have people on the Hill talking today. Republicans repeatedly heckling President Biden with boos and chants. The president, in return, actively arguing with GOP Congress members, particularly when it came to Social Security and Medicare. And his words were hints a 2024 presidential run may be coming soon. NewsNation Chief Washington correspondent Blake Burman is live with new reaction today. Good evening, Blake.
Hi there, Nichole. Good evening to you. We heard from President Biden last night in the State of the Union speech repeatedly call on Congress to, quote unquote, finish the job as it relates to some of the president's biggest priorities going forward. The White House was asked earlier today, whether or not finish the job means doing so over the next 2 years or over the next 6 years, potentially. The White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre wouldn't necessarily engage on that, but did note that the president has reiterated that he intends to run for re-election once again in 2024. Now, following last night's speech, the president hit the road today to the swing state of Wisconsin. The president highlighted one of the key moments from last night's State of the Union address in which he said Republicans want to get rid of Social Security and Medicare. Now, that sparked an instantaneous reaction from many Republicans in the chamber who challenged the president with jeers. The president then engaged, and it actually turned into somewhat of an impromptu negotiation in the middle of the State of the Union address. Today, President Biden chalked up that moment as a victory.
Remember I said, no, I'm serious. Remember what I said? I said, so you're not going to cut it, huh? No. I said, okay, we got a deal. I'll believe it when I see it, and their budget's laid down with their cuts they're proposing. But it looks like we negotiated a deal last night on the floor of the House of Representatives.
So, Nichole, the president was in the swing state of Wisconsin today. Tomorrow, he will be in the swing state of Florida, where he will talk about, oh, by the way, Social Security and Medicare.
Oh, Nichole. By the way. All right, Blake. So we heard the boos, the heckling that we mentioned at the top of this. How are Republicans reacting today to the speech?
Yeah, so when it comes to that sort of exchange that we showed and just talked about from last evening, it centered around a proposal or an idea from the Republican senator from Florida, Rick Scott, who wants all federal legislation to be sunset after 5 years. And then if Congress wants to bring it back, it can. Today, he took the following aim at the president, tweeting out this, saying, quote, does he think I also intend to get rid of the U.S. Navy or the Border Patrol or air traffic control, maybe? This is the kind of fake gotcha BS that people hate about Washington. I've never advocated cutting Social Security or Medicare, and never would. The top Republican in the House, Speaker Kevin McCarthy, lamented the overall tone of the president's speech. He wrote today, quote, that was one of the most partisan State of the Union speeches I've ever heard. Now, back over here at the White House, Nichole, they were thrilled with the way things played out after the president got back home after the speech. There could be cheers, could be heard from inside the White House. Nichole.
All right, Blake Burman, live for us there in Washington. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.